The medical bay of the confluence hummed with the sterile efficiency that defined Quorexian healthcare. Dr. Vethkora's 4 optical sensors tracked the vital signs of her latest patient, a Draxian cargo hauler whose thorax had been crushed in a loading accident. The prognosis was clear, terminal. The pain suppressors would ease him into the void within the hour. There must be something you can do, the human liaison officer said from the doorway. Vethkora's sensory stalk swiveled toward the newcomer, Marcus Webb, the only human aboard the station. His species had joined the Galactic Confederation merely 3 cycles ago, yet they inserted themselves into everything with their peculiar insistence. The injuries are catastrophic, Vethkora explained, her translator rendering her clicks into standard galactic. His primary circulation systems have collapsed. His neural matrix is fragmenting. Treatment would only prolong suffering. You're just going to let him die? I am allowing him to die with dignity, Vethkora corrected. This is the ethical standard across 73 member species. We do not torture the dying with false hope. Marcus stepped closer to the medical pod where the Draxian lay, his breathing labored, his chitin cracked and leaking. The human's face performed that curious muscular contortion his species called a frown. He's scared, Marcus said quietly. He is sedated. He feels no fear. Look at his eyes. Vethkora had looked. She had seen the dilated pupils, the erratic eye movements, standard physiological responses to systemic failure. The human saw something else, something her medical training had never taught her to recognize. Without waiting for permission, Marcus approached the medical pod. Vethkora extended a manipulator to stop him, but the human had already knelt beside the dying Draxian, bringing himself to eye level with the patient. Easy, buddy, Marcus whispered, his voice dropping to that soft register humans used with their young. Easy now. The Draxian's mandibles clicked weakly. His eyes, which had been rolling in their sockets, suddenly focused on the human's face. Marcus reached out slowly and placed his hand, that strange, 5-digited appendage, on the uninjured portion of the Draxian's carapace. He didn't grip or pat, he simply rested his hand there, warm and steady. You're not alone, Marcus continued, maintaining eye contact. I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere. Vethkora watched her monitors. The Draxian's neural activity, which had been spiking chaotically, began to stabilize. His respiration, though still failing, found a steadier rhythm. Impossible. She checked her instruments for malfunction. What are you doing? She asked. Sitting with him, Marcus replied without looking away from the Draxian. My grandpa taught me, nobody should die alone and scared. Doesn't matter if they're people or animals or, well, I guess aliens too. This is not protocol. I don't care about protocol right now, Doc. The Draxian made a sound, a low thrumming that Vethkora's database identified as a comfort vocalization, something Draxian young made when held by their parents. The patient's remaining good manipulator lifted slightly, trembling, and Marcus caught it gently in his other hand. That's it, the human said. I've got you. You're doing great, buddy. Just breathe. I'm here. Vethkora found herself unable to intervene. She had studied hundreds of species' anatomies, had performed thousands of procedures, had memorized countless medical texts. None of them had prepared her for this, for the way the human's presence seemed to affect the patient on a level her instruments couldn't measure. The Draxian's eyes remained fixed on Marcus's face. The human didn't look away, didn't check the time, didn't show any sign of discomfort at the vigil. He simply stayed, his hand warm against the cooling carapace, his voice a steady murmur of reassurance. You matter, Marcus told the dying alien. Your life mattered. The work you did mattered. The people who knew you, they're going to remember. You're not going to be forgotten. Vethkora's sensors registered the moment of death. The Draxian's neural activity ceased, his circulation stopped, his lungs fell still. But something else registered too. In those final moments, every stress indicator had normalized. The patient had died without fear, without pain, without the existential terror that usually accompanied the dissolution of consciousness. Marcus held the Draxian's manipulator for another full minute, before gently placing it across the body's thorax. He stood slowly, his knees making that odd popping sound human joints produced, and turned to face Vethkora. The human's eyes were wet. Another peculiarity of his species, emotional lacrimation. Thank you for letting me stay with him, Marcus said. Vethkora's sensory stalks trembled, a Quorexian gesture of profound confusion. I do not understand what you did. My instruments show he died in a state of neurological calm. This should not be possible with such injuries. Marcus wiped his eyes with his hand. We call it being human. Guess that doesn't translate, huh? Explain. The human looked back at the body, then at Vethacora. In our history, we figured out pretty early that we're stronger together than apart. We evolved to read emotions to respond to fear and pain in others. When someone's suffering, we feel it too. And when someone's dying, he paused, searching for words. We can't fix everything. But we can make sure they don't go through it alone. We can be present. We can bear witness. This has medical value? Maybe not the kind you can measure. But yeah, Doc, it has value. Vethacora looked at her instruments, then at the peaceful expression on the Draxian's face, something she rarely saw in terminal patients. She thought of the thousands of beings she had watched die with clinical detachment, following protocol, maintaining professional distance. Will you teach me? She asked. Marcus's face performed that other contortion, the one humans called a smile. Yeah, Doc, I can teach you. And in the sterile medical bay of the confluence, a new protocol began to take shape. One that couldn't be programmed into machines or written in medical texts. One that required nothing more than presence, compassion, and the simple words, "Easy, buddy. You're not alone."